discussions going on. That's very positive. That's very good. Well, I just want to thank you all. We had a great debate last night. Every single online poll had us winning and winning good. So I'm very honored about that. It was a very interesting experience. And actually, for me, it was somewhat fun. It got a little bit testy.
Is a respected actress.
I'm sure the ratings were very good. I'm sure CNN was very happy. But really, it had a lot of very constructive moments. So we were very, very happy with the way it came out, and we were very happy with the reviews. It's my honor this morning. We have a tremendous crowd of people outside. But before we do that, it's my honor this morning to introduce somebody who is a real standout. He's been my friend for many years. He's been a spectacular governor. He's been just a wonderful person and a wonderful, loyal person. Done a really good job. Totally destroyed Marco Rubio the other day. I have never quite seen it. I was standing next to Marco Rubio and he melted. I said, "Are you all right, Marco?" And, I really give Chris credit for that. He's a real talent, and I would like to introduce him because he's going to say something that I think you'll find very, very interesting. Thank you.
Okay, Chris. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. I am proud to be here to endorse Donald Trump for President of the United States. I'm doing this for a number of reasons. First is that Donald and I, along with Melania and Mary Pat, have been friends for over a decade. He has been a good and loyal friend to our family, as we have been to he and his family. And over the years, we've had a lot of wonderful times together, done a lot of good together for not only the people of the state of New Jersey, but for many charities that we've worked with and on together. And I absolutely appreciate him as a person and as a friend. Secondly, I've been on that stage. I've gotten to know all the people on that stage. And there is no one who is better prepared to provide America with the strong leadership that it needs, both at home and around the world, than Donald Trump. He is, looking at the 5 people on that stage last night, the clear standout and the person who will do exactly what needs to be done to make America a leader around the world again. He'll provide strong, unequivocal leadership. He will do what needs to be done to protect the American people, first and foremost, both in the homeland and in creating jobs for this country. And he will make sure that people around the world know that America keeps its word again. Donald Trump is someone who, when he makes a promise, he keeps it. I've experienced that over my long friendship with him. And what the American people and our allies around the world are going to understand is that Donald Trump is someone who keeps his word, and that means America will keep its word again. Third, there is no doubt in my mind, and I've been saying this right from the time I entered the campaign, that the single most important thing for the Republican Party is to nominate the person who gives us the best chance to beat Hillary Clinton. I can guarantee you that the one person that Hillary and Bill Clinton do not want to see on that stage come next September is Donald Trump. They know how to run the standard political playbook against junior senators and run them around the block. They do not know the playbook with Donald Trump because he is rewriting the playbook. He is rewriting the playbook of American politics because he's providing strong leadership that's not dependent upon the status quo. And so the best person to beat Hillary Clinton in November on that stage last night is undoubtedly Donald Trump. And so I am thrilled to be here this morning to lend my support. I will lend my support between now and November in every way that I can for Donald to help to make this campaign an even better campaign than it's already been, and then to help him do whatever he needs to do to help to make the country everything that we want it to be for our children and grandchildren. He's a good friend. He is a strong and resolute leader. And he is someone who is going to lead the Republican Party to victory in November over Hillary Clinton, which is the single most important thing we can do. So I thank him for his friendship. I thank him for all the kindnesses that we've shared with each other over the years. But more importantly than that, I thank him for leaving the private sector, for seeing that there was a need for strong leadership in this country, and for being willing to step out of the private sector and come and offer himself for public service and for leadership in this country at a time when our party and our nation so desperately needs it. So I'm happy to be on the Trump team, and I look forward to working with him. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chris. Great honor. Yes, Mark?
Senator Rubio made a number of statements about you today. I want to ask Governor Christie what he thinks of.
Okay.
I want to ask Governor Christie what you think of Senator Rubio calling Trump a con artist. And he seems to be trying to get
Is that what he called me?
He called you a lot of things, but one of them was a honor. So I want to ask you.
He's a pretty desperate guy. He's down about 22 points in Florida.
He's trying to rattle you and get inside your head. I wonder what you think the chances of that.
That's not happening. Go ahead, Chris.
Listen, the fact is that desperate people do desperate things. And I've seen it throughout politics, and so have you. And so the idea that Marco Rubio can get inside Donald Trump's head is an interesting proposition, but one that's really for the D.C. parlor game. What Donald Trump is about the people of this country. You know, I heard some of Senator Rubio's comments this morning. None of them were about the people of this country. When are we going to start talking about them? The fact that middle-class folks in this country are suffering. The fact that people who want jobs can't get them because they've been taken away. The fact that we can't any longer as a country stand up and defend ourselves around the world because we have a leader who wrings his hands. I didn't hear any of that this morning from Senator Rubio. So desperate people in campaigns do desperate things, flailing punches in the last days of a losing campaign. Fact of the matter is, no one's going to get inside this guy's head. He has lived a lot of life. He's had lots of fights and battles. I've watched him do it. And there is no better fighter than Donald Trump, and he's going to fight for the American people. And you didn't hear Senator Rubio talk about any of that this morning.
John?
Two things. This is a big endorsement.
I agree. To me, it's a very big endorsement.
I want to ask you what it means to your campaign. You said endorsements don't matter much.
Generally speaking, I'm not big on endorsements. I could have had many endorsements. I have quite a few good ones, but I could have had many. But, I didn't want to take the time and the 2 hours and the dinners and everything else. It just wasn't worth it. This was an endorsement that really meant a lot. Chris is an outstanding man with an outstanding family. He's done a great job. And I think that this is the one endorsement that I felt very strongly about. I wanted to get.
And I want to ask you about Marco Rubio talking about the Jewish debate. He actually suggested that you were sweating backstage, that you seemed...
Well, I'll tell you about backstage. I mean, if you'd like. I walked back there, and he's with a pile of makeup, putting it on his face. I said, Marco, easy with the makeup. You don't need that much. You know the story with Marco. I watched him against this man, where Marco, he was right over here. And I actually looked at him and I said, are you okay? He looked like he just came out of a swimming pool. He was a mess. So we'll see what happens. We're going to see what happens. But no, I heard he had some very nasty personal comments. But I saw him backstage, and he was putting it on with a trowel. Yes, Katie? It's just too. We never even had that discussion. Chris called. We have this great relationship, and I just said, wow, that is really great. That is really great. To me, this is something that means outstanding person, amazing person. Excuse me, that's a civil case. I've won much of it. Excuse me, Sarah. I've won much of it. It's a peanut case. It's a very small case. I will end up winning. I could have settled it many times. I decided not to settle it. I could settle it now. I don't want to settle it. Excuse me. I go through court. I go through court often. I win the cases. I have a very good record. And I don't like, this is just people wanting to get their money back. Most of these people signed report cards. It's called a report card, where they said how great it was. Then they sue you years later to see if they get their money back. So we'll win the case. It'll take a little while, but we'll win the case. Much of the case has already been won. Go ahead.
This is for Governor Christie. Governor Christie, when you had a decision to make between a lot of the other candidates, what did it come down to, and when was the moment when you decided to endorse Mr. Trump?
First of all, let me respond to that, because I'm a former federal prosecutor. To try to compare a civil lawsuit to the mishandling of classified information, much of which I can tell you, we used to have to go to specialized rooms that were sealed from any type of intrusion to look at, and those were sitting on a private email server in Mrs. Clinton's basement in Chappaqua, New York. To try to compare that to a civil lawsuit where someone's suing for money is a complete misunderstanding. Excuse me. Listen. It's a complete. You're setting up a question that you're trying to. No. Let me finish. You're trying to equate a civil lawsuit against him with the mishandling of classified information that could put American national security at risk. It's ridiculous. Now, on your question, here's my process on how I went through this. Fact is, after the campaign was over, Mary Pat and I went home, and we took a deep breath. I got back to preparing my budget for the state of New Jersey, which I needed to do a week after the New Hampshire primary and present that to the people of New Jersey. And then we sat down as a family, me and Mary Pat and our children, and we talked about, do we want to play any other role in this campaign, or do we want to just not? I concluded, along with Mary Pat and the children supported, that we wanted to be with the person who we thought could provide the strongest leadership for America, and the person who could best make sure that Hillary Clinton never gets within 10 miles of the White House. Once we made that decision, there was clear the only choice was Donald Trump. The best choice was Donald Trump. And the last thing is, our family is one that prides loyalty. And the fact is that we have been good friends with Donald and his family for many years, and there was no choice in my mind. And when did I make the final decision? Yesterday morning, I met with Donald. We sat and talked, and he said, how about coming out on the road to Texas with me? And I said, happy to do it whenever you're ready, sir. So we did it, and that's how the process went.
Governor Christie, during the campaign, you said two things about yourself. You got former federal prosecutor uniquely qualified to deal with national security, security, and terrorism. You also took the pride in putting together a entitlement reform proposals more specific. Those counts, both of those counts, Mr. Trump has been found by his rivals, Bill Ray, not to be sufficiently specific, unprepared. Marco Rubio said he's wholly unprepared today to be the president of the United States. How do you evaluate what Mr. Trump is on entitlements and on dealing with terrorism as compared to the way you saw yourself?
I find it fascinating that someone who barely shows up for work in the 6 years he's a United States Senator is going to talk about somebody else being unprepared. And the fact of the matter is, Senator Rubio has shown himself over the course of time to be wholly unprepared to be President of the United States. I said that at the time I was in the race, and nothing has changed my mind now. The fact is, this is the only guy on that stage, other than Governor Kasich, who has made executive decisions, who's had to make executive decisions throughout his life, who understands how to put together budgets, how to make sure that money is spent efficiently and effectively in order to create profit, and to make sure that the country, as moving forward as president, would get back on that kind of track. This guy knows how to do that better than anybody on that stage. And so this campaign has a long way to go, and there's going to be lots of conversations still to have. But the confidence I have is that he is strong enough to take on the D.C. establishment, which is what's represented by, Senator Rubio. It's the D.C. establishment against a guy who's going to come in there and fight the D.C. establishment to turn around what's been happening in this country, the failure of both parties to be able to do anything that's worthwhile. So Donald and I continue to have great conversations about the campaign going forward. I intend to be a resource in any way that I possibly can be for him. And I have absolute confidence in his ability to be able to get in there and fix the problems that plague America.
Mr. Trump, can you give us a timeline on releasing your personal taxes?
Well, I think I told you about 12 times yesterday. My taxes for many years have been under audit, and for some reason, I have a lot of rich friends. They've never been audited. I'm audited every year, I think, for like 12 years. Many of those audits have been finished, but we have some left. And until such time as the audit is finished by the IRS, which is a routine audit, I think, but until such time as it's finished, I won't be going and releasing, because obviously that wouldn't be a very good thing to do. Yes, go ahead.
How do you feel about the recent endorsement from David Duke?
I didn't even know he endorsed me. David Duke endorsed me? Okay. All right. I disavow. Okay? Yes. Go ahead. Yes.
The former president of Mexico says they will not pay for the wall. What is your response to that?
My response is the wall just got 10 feet higher. I gave it to you yesterday.
How are you going to make
I'll tell you what, and he used foul language. And if I use that language, Chris can tell you. Can you imagine if I used that language? If I used that language, it would be a major scandal. And as many people as we have today, you'd have 5 times more. It was disgraceful the way he went about saying it. And it's going to be very easy. Mexico will pay for the wall. Number one, the wall will be built, which the other people will never get done. And Mexico will pay for the wall. And the reason is very simple. We have right now $58 billion in trade deficits. The wall is a fraction of that. So we will get the wall done, and Mexico will pay for it. Yes, go ahead. Okay, don't get nervous. Don't get nervous. Don't worry about it. Not a big deal.
What percentage of your success would you attribute to the rising anti-establishment sentiment among the voters?
I think a lot. Good question. I like it. Thank you. I think a lot. People are angry. People are upset. They're upset by the by what's going on with the economy. They're upset by trade.